process of the food web found near a hydrothermal vent. As you watch this segment, think about how the process of classification helps biologists study Earth's organisms. These creatures may look like something you'd only find in a science fiction story, but they are very real. And they're just a part of the amazing diversity of organisms that live on our planet. To date, scientists have identified more than 1 million different organisms on Earth. And every year, new organisms are discovered. When scientific researchers traveled to the 9 North hydrothermal vent off the coast of Mexico, they discovered forms of life that had never before been classified. Classification is the way in which scientists organize life forms into groups. In particular, biologists want to know how living things are related to each other and how they are related to organisms that are now extinct. As these scientists study what they found in the deep ocean, they'll be able to identify the categories to which each organism belongs. They'll start by trying to determine the organism's domain. A domain is the broadest group in organism classification. Members of a domain may be very different, but they share at least some basic characteristics. Organisms are classified into domains based on their cellular structure and the way they absorb, eat, or produce food. Today, there are 3 domains: bacteria, archaea, and eukarya. Within eukarya, there are 4 kingdoms: protists, fungi, plants, and animals. The scientists will compare their deep ocean discoveries to organisms and characteristics within each domain. When they've decided to which domain these deep ocean organisms belong, they'll move to the next level of classification: kingdom. In each lower classification level, there are fewer organisms, but each organism will have more characteristics in common with the other organisms of that level. There are 8 levels in all: domain, kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species. There's even a name for the science of classifying organisms. It's called taxonomy. The most specific level of classification is the species level. A species is defined as a group of related organisms that share common characteristics and can produce offspring that can also mate and reproduce. The scientists have compared the physical and genetic characteristics of the creatures from 9 North to other known organisms. It turns out that some of the new organisms are not part of any identified species. As a newly discovered species, they will have to be named. Naming an organism is a big responsibility. Even though it may be called different things in different languages, its scientific name is how it will be known to scientists around the world. The naming system scientists use is called binomial nomenclature, which is a fancy way of saying 2 names. The first half of an organism's scientific name is its genus. In some ways, this is like your last name. Then comes the name of the species. The name is usually related to a specific characteristic that makes the organisms different from other members of the genus. For example, the scientific name for a sea lion found primarily in California is Zolophus californianus.